Hey, it's Drew Neiser with another Wednesday Wisdom. I know you have budgets that say brand and you have budgets that say demand, but we also know sort of inherently that these two things can't be separated. So, fortunately for you, we've got some amazing experts in the CMO Huddles community, including Pat Van Gorder from Level.Agency. Pat, is it possible to do a paid media campaign where you're actually thinking about brand and performance?
More than possible, Drew. I think it's the expectation for any CMO today that's trying to approach paid media in the right way. You can't really separate these things anymore. If you're on the consumer side, it's really easy because you can spend enough and you can spin up a media mix model and you can sort of, evaluate lift in a lot of different ways. But it's harder for B2B CMOs that might not have as much dry powder from a paid media perspective to get to the same impact. One of the things that we advise folks to do is to be really, really intentional in their test design. So, when you've got your brand activation plan, run a careful holdout test, have an opportunity to sort of evaluate the relative lift of where you're running that upper funnel media or that middle funnel media, and then measure impact on things like paid search or brand traffic. Obviously, other ideas like brand sentiment trackers and things like that are valuable too, but you don't need to have that in order to measure overall impact.
All right. So it's so interesting as I heard a couple of things that I just want clarification on. One of the things that in the old days, when we looked at paid media, we could see the impact because suddenly your Google performance would improve, right? Because you had this media, you
Right.
had a higher awareness, people were more likely to click. Is that still the case?
For sure, it is still the case, but it's not the entirety of the story for a lot of brands now. And things like changes of on organic search are making it harder to evaluate, when you do X, Y happens, which I think really just sort of underscores the importance of being really intentional about how you set up your tests. So, define what success looks like in advance, write it down, clarify with your agency partner or your internal media team how you're going to be measuring the overall effectiveness of the brand activation, and then hold yourselves accountable to the learnings.
I love it. Well, generally, if you know where you want to go, there's a lot better chance of you getting there. So I appreciate that. All right. Well, if you're a B2B CMO who knows where they want to go, do yourself a favor. Check out CMOHuddles.com. We have an amazing network, great content, and some perfectly profound partners like Pat Van Gorder from Level Agency. I'm Drew Neiser. That's your Wednesday Wisdom. Peace out.